If you live under a non-cocaine rock, there's a better than 100% chance that you were confused as to why Soulja Boy was all over your social media timelines on Wednesday. It is the year of our Lord 2019. Why in West Hell with that little Superman, that whole nigga, taking up valuable bandwidth, interrupting what might as well be called the Black Don't Fact Challenge? If that confused you, then you were probably even more confused as to why there was a video floating around of him saying Drake's name over and over again. And just why was this nigga standing up? Well, the great mind's going to tell you. DeAndre Cortez Wade, a.k.a. Young Draco, a.k.a. Soulja Boy Tell him, a.k.a. Soulja, just provided so much unintentional comedy and spit some truisms for that ass during his recent appearance on The Breakfast Club. While it may be curious as to why an interview involving somebody who often gets considered an industry punching bag might be interesting, let me tell you it was. So here are 10 reasons as to why it's both a must-watch video and why we may and should look at Young Draco a little bit differently. For one, let's start out at the ending, because I'll be damned if he didn't close out in the fabulous fashion, nigga, the way he said, Drake, with so much, like, disgust. Literally, you had me doubled over in laughter. Like, all that shit that Pusha T put in the story of Addy Dom was accomplished by Soulja's repetition of his name twice. It was truly a beauty to behold. Soulja said his name with such disdain a poem as if he knows something we don't, that I'm pretty sure that Kiki does not, in fact, love Drake.
Oh, gosh.
Great mindset, but I think it needs, and this is number 2, it needs a bit more immortalizing. Ray J and Soulja Boy are like alternate universe versions of one another. Down to their demeanor, they are remarkably affable despite decades of clowning. Both are remarkably more successful than most folks want to admit. They show up at places selling things, and most importantly, neither gets much credit for, well, anything. I truly feel like if Ray were a rapper, he'd be Soulja, and if Soulja were a singer, he'd be Ray. Number 3, which is why Soulja Boy claiming to be from Bompton was so ridiculous. Quite obviously, he talked about his gang affiliations. At one point, he distinctly remembers claiming some gangster disciples said he was born in Chicago, so I presume his family has family there, and GD is also popular down south and definitely in Atlanta. But now apparently he's down with some Compton bloodset. But I guess once you get down, either way, I think that non-LA blood clip gang affiliations are dumb, especially for R&B niggas like Chris Brown. But, sometimes you got the flu and sometimes you got the flu. Number 4, so one significant portion of the interview was where Soulja Boy talked about the L's he took early in his career and how everybody said he was responsible for killing hip-hop. At 16 years old, he was responsible for the demise of a whole-ass genre, and yet he literally probably unintentionally quarterbacked the entire modern version of the genre. Obviously, the sound Kanye crafted with 808s and Heartbreak has set the tone, but Soulja turned the whole genre into YouTube views, money-making venture, and social media frenzy. 5, can somebody please stop telling Envy to stop focusing so much on his top beats? 6, the fact that Soulja kept calling Charlamagne the God Charlotte, even when it clearly wasn't working and sounded dumb, made me laugh several times. Is like he really wanted Charlotte to work as a nickname for his nickname. It doesn't. 7, one interesting thing he mentioned that I think is representative of a larger cultural issue is that he showed up with a video game console as the only rap chef to have and sell one, and how many folks are capable of it. 8, somebody does not need to explain to him. Somebody does need to explain to him what comeback means, but I mean, who hasn't struggled with that concept at times, Also, Meek Mill is definitely the 2018 comeback king. 9, Soulja really has been more present than any of us want to acknowledge, especially for this new wave of artists. What was extremely illuminating from the convo is that he's not stupid at all. In fact, he's a pretty smart kid who also happens to be high energy and introspective enough to still present in a game on paper he should have been spit out of a decade ago. And 10 is it is amazing how an interview can entirely change your perspective on an individual. I wager so many folks who walk away, maybe not looking to check out his music, but feeling like they like Soulja as a person, even amidst some of his nonsensical boasts. He's a rapper after all. Nonsensical boasts is part the course of for the money as rappers. That's what happened with me and 21 Savage. Also, during his Breakfast Club interview, I may not care for their musical output, but as people, they're all right with me. Agree or disagree with much of what he said, that man provided a fun and entertaining interview. And also means that will last forever. What did you think about the Soulja Boy interview with Angel Martinez?
So I heard half of it on my way to work, and I was dying. I definitely heard when he kept calling Charlamagne the guy Charla, and I was confused. I was like, "Who the hell is Charla?" And then I laughed. I just thought it was hilarious. But it was, from the half I heard, it was very entertaining. I definitely saw all the memes. I don't know if anybody else seen those. If you've been under like a rock, like Jen said, you haven't seen them, but it was absolutely hilarious. Me and one of my coworkers, well, she's not really my coworker. She's just somebody who sits up front. But me and her, we were just looking at the memes and just cracking up. And then I had to go back to my desk before my boss came. So that was funny. But it was overall very entertaining. And a lot of people, they doubted his like him being honest and a lot of the shit that he was saying. And I don't, I pretty much don't. I understand why they doubted him. Some of the things he was saying was very questionable, and especially when he talked about his gang affiliation. It was just like, what are you talking about? But it was, nonetheless, it was very entertaining. Jen, did you listen to the interview, and what were your thoughts on it?
I listened to the whole interview. My first thought was I was happy that I feel like it's going to exceed the Tekashi 6ix9ine Breakfast Club interviews. Right now it's at 10 million views. Because, Tekashi 6ix9ine is bragged about being the best artist ever and all this other shit, and how he brought the most people to the Breakfast Club as far as, like, for people to check out their interviews.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's looking like it's
I heard
10 million views. The interview came out on Wednesday, so it's looking like he's going to surpass that. I did get a whole new respect for Soulja Boy. I think that we don't want to admit what he has done for the culture, but he has done a lot. Like, to think of the fact that he was spitting, that he has presented so many artists with us, that he has worked with a lot of artists who are popping now, who at one point did not get a co-sign from anybody but him. That he sold 15 million ringtones and 10 million singles with no industry backing whatsoever. The fact that, people like Drake and Beyonce and all these other artists, have paid homage and have somehow, I would say, bite his throat, but just was like giving respect. He made it seem like they was copying it and they didn't give credit where it was due. But I think as far as like with Drake, with Beyonce she did have him listed as a writer on the Lemonade album. But as far as with Drake, I think it was more so he was just making light and, having fun. I don't think he was real life. Like, nobody has heard the Soulja Boy song, and I'm just going to steal, how some artists do. But, it's time to, stand up for Draco and, give credit where it's due. He is. He has accomplished a lot, which is incredible to think, like, he's been in this industry for 10 years, and, and people have, for the most part, looked at him as a joke, and he's still here, So I'm excited to see everything come from it. I think that him and this whole video game console thing is dope, and the fact that, he had he's made $250,000 in sales in one day is incredible. The fact that he's a 20-year-old black man and still has $30 million net worth, I think is amazing, when a lot of his peers blew through the money and are signed to these ridiculous contracts. I thought Charlamagne was a little bit of a hater when he was saying, people say I got 10, 15 million. First of all, nigga, they say, you have 10 million. So stop trying to boast yourself, man. And
wow, you love Charlamagne. That's interesting.
No, I love Charlamagne, but I just stuff like that annoys the fuck out of me. Give credit where it's due. We know what the fuck net worth means. That means that overall, what you are worth, your assets, your properties are this amount of money. We know that Soulja Boy does not have $30 million in his bank account, but that means he has homes, he has
right.
He has investments that are not liquid, and some that are liquid that equal $30 million. You can't fucking hate on that. Like you can't. He is a 28-year-old black man who did it on his own.
Yeah, he did.
Like you can't. Like you can't hate on that. Like you got to give credit.
Girl, you stink, take a bath. Girl, you stink, take a bath. That was my shit.
You said what?
I said, girl, you stink, take a bath. That, crank that Soulja Boy, all of that. I mean, that was our shit. You know, we loved listening to all of that. So, I mean, I'm sure he's still getting views today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. Oh, you know it. Especially with this interview, you know his streams went up right quick.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
it was just really cool to see. And, you know, and I agree with, I was listening to Charlamagne on Brilliant in his podcast, and he was just like, sometimes you just got to remind motherfuckers, like, what you've done, because they won't necessarily give you the credit. And he's right. It wasn't on no Bow Wow shit, because, I mean, to me, Bow Wow looks lame. You know what I'm saying? But to me, I feel like
Bow Wow?
Bow Wow, I feel like Bow Wow brags about a past that was, like, made up a whole facade. Like, first of all, people wrote all your lyrics. Then they made everything for you. Like, you just seem ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, like, with Soulja Boy, like, Soulja Boy bust his ass. He came from nothing and made his name for himself. Like, you can't hate on that. And he has done everything that he's been saying that he did. It wasn't like, he may exaggerate, he may embellish, but he didn't lie. You know, so I'm just like, you gotta, you know, you can't hate on that at the end of the day. But that's it.
And that's it. And ultimately, you know, many people exaggerate. They say they got this, but they really don't. You know, so it's like, why trip? You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, like Jim said, that's all. So we're going to get into some fun